Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stop chasing leads and start closing deals. That's what today's episode is all about. So if you want to know why 90% of salespeople are doing it wrong, tune in. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros.
All right, business bros. Now, he's known as the UK's most hated sales trainer, and he owns it with a reputation for cutting through the fluff, exposing sales myths, and helping professionals break free from mediocrity. Today's guest is here to not only maybe not even make you feel good, but he's here to help you sell better. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Benjamin Dennehy. Hi, Benjamin. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. Really is. So, no, I'm most appreciative. Thank you.
Well, let's jump into this. Hated in the UK for your sales training. I got to know, where did that title come from? How did you get here?
Everybody asks me, how did I become the UK's most hated? In fact, some people come up to me and ask it in all seriousness. You think there's some sort of institute that measures hatred towards sales trainers. It's not. I made it up. Just like any form of marketing, I made it up. But the story behind it is, I mean, you can make anything up, but why this particular approach? It's one things that make salespeople useless at their job is most are in this to get their own emotional needs met. They're so needy. They like to be liked. They don't care if they sell. They actually like meeting people and then leaving the meeting having felt good because everyone in the meeting said, I really love what you guys do. I love your presentation. That's what they want. So I have to teach people that you don't have to be liked to sell. That's really hard because if you want to be liked, then you act and behave in a manner. So when I was looking at competitors in my space, other sales trainers, I realized that they all said the same thing. Look at me. I'm a guru. I'm an expert. I'm a leader. I'm number one, top performer, best seller, biggest biller. So none of them, they still don't get it. They all want to be loved. I don't want to be loved. I want to be hated. So I came up with the idea, UK's most hated sales trainer. No one else is there. No one else wants to be there. I'll take it. I'll name it. I'll claim it. And I own it.
You know, I teach a class called Financial Algebra. One of the first things I do at the beginning of the year is I give my students a digital scavenger hunt. And I'm like, here's my first and last name. Google me and see what you can find. And the whole idea behind it is you can create the brand of whoever you want to create simply by getting out there and doing the things that need to be done, creating the content and building your brand and creating everything that is that entity that you create. You've done that with your sales process. It gives you the ability to stand out. It gives you the ability for people to ask that question, like, why are you the most hated? And it starts that conversation. Now, some might say that's a lie, but it's really just marketing in a way. What are some of the big lies or myths that you see sales trainers teaching today that kind of rubs you the wrong way? Maybe might be one of the reasons why you became the most hated sales trainer.
Well, I can't speak for the sales trainer. Maybe they hate. I think they do. I'm not part of the in club. You know, if you're on LinkedIn, there's all these sort of sales trainers and gurus and experts. They all sort of suck each other off. So I don't get involved in it. I'm always on the outside of the tent, pissing in sort of thing. I don't want to be part of the establishment. As soon as I am, then I cease to be what I am. What pisses me off about other sales trainers is most of them regurgitate the same crap. And I'll tell you what, one thing that bugs me is they talk about objection handling, how to handle objections. And I point out there are no such things as objections. I can't think of an actual objection you hear in the sales process. An objection's like in a courtroom. And so at one point, somebody asks a question, they say, objection. You can't ask. That never happens. There's no such, that never. So they confuse statements of facts with objection. You know, someone says, I don't have any money. that might not be an objection. That might actually just be a statement of fact. So they teach you ways to overcome objections, and all those ways are so tried and tested. Your prospects know all these moves. They're dodgy, they're sleazy, they make you look. So I teach people, don't handle objections. You're not qualified. You're not qualified. So if somebody says something, for instance, they say something like, it's very expensive. The first question I ask myself, or I'd ask a client, is, well, did they ask a question? No, they just said it's expensive. Okay. Did they say they can't afford it? No. Did they say they won't pay it? No. Did they say justify your price? No. So why are you doing any of that? This is it. All they said was it's expensive. That's not a bad thing. I want people to say, gosh, you're expensive. Oh, thank goodness. I was worried you're going to say I was cheap. So if someone, so you got to be listening. So when they say something like it's expensive, I know, which means turn it into a question. Get them to then, I want them to, what do you mean? When you say it's expensive, what do you mean? Oh, I'm not saying I can't afford it. I'm just saying compared to the other things we've looked at, you're at the higher end. In that tiny little moment there, I've just established some information I might not have known. They've already spoken with other people in my space. I might not have known that at that moment. So there's no such thing as an objection. It's normally a statement or a question. If it's a statement, turn it into a question. If it's a question, get them to deal with it. I'll give you an example. I work with an insurance group. The CEO of this insurance group said, Benjamin, have you ever worked with an insurance company before? Side note, I never had. Back into the situation. I just scratched my head and said, well, what do you mean? It's not my problem. I go, well, what do you mean? Now, he has to elaborate. He goes, well, what I mean is my concern is if you don't have experience in insurance, because it's a very niche and heavily regulated industry, my concern is if you don't understand that, then your sales training might not be able to help us. I said, okay, that makes sense. So are you telling me that? I said, one last question. Are you telling me that if you genuinely believe my sales training would work, are you saying we can't work together if I've never worked in the insurance sector? I keep the pressure. He goes, I said, no, I'm not saying that. I said, well,
of course not.
What does that mean? He goes, well, obviously, if I believed it would work. So your job isn't to handle an objection. It's to get the prospect to handle it. It's their problem, not yours. So I don't have to learn any fancy tricks. All I do is flick it back to them. It's very expensive. What does that mean? Oh, you're telling me that because.
So let me ask you about, like, how does a salesperson even turn into that? Like, for example, I mean, okay, mindset is everything. You hear this all the time, but in your case, it's almost like, it's not really the get yourself in a motivational position to go out and make sales. It's more about how do you address what people are telling you, not to overthink yourself into the solution you think the question is asking you, but actually getting some clarification into what they're thinking. Just because they say something doesn't necessarily mean that the conclusion is the one that you've drawn in your head. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, you are. And so the problem, there are two things. One, 99% of the time, the first question you're ever asked is a smokescreen. It's not the real question. People always mask their true intent. So if you want to go out and get drunk with your mates on Friday night, you do not come home to your wife and say, oi, I'm going out Friday night with the lads, I'm going to get smashed. Now, you could do that, but the odds are marriage harmony is going to be pretty questionable. So what do? You say to your wife, sweetheart, have you got any plans Friday? That question has nothing to do with your true intent. So prospects are the same. So that's the first thing. So the first question, I always say, you can never answer a question unless you know the reason why it was asked. So when somebody says, where are you based? The assumption is they're interested in where I'm based. Actually, that might not be the case. I don't know why they're asking me, where are you based? I assume. So don't assume. So when somebody says to me, where are you based? I say, what do you mean, where am I based? They go, well, are you located in the London area? Okay. Is that because you want to work with someone that's London-based? No, I don't care where you're based. I'm just curious. Oh, well, if I told you I was in Bournemouth, what would you say? I still haven't. I've only answered it a question. Yeah, I don't mind Bournemouth. Well, you're in luck. That's where I'm based in. Now, you see? So the art is not answering a question. It's going back with one. It's called Socratic questioning. It's very hard to learn because from the moment you're born, you've been programmed you must answer a question, especially when asked by someone older or an authority. And most salespeople see their prospect as an authority over them. They demur to them. And it's a pathological failing, actually. It can be unlearned, but it takes a lot to unlearn a lifetime of behavior.
Oh, it absolutely does. That's why that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You absolutely can. It's just that dog might be a little more hesitant than
doesn't want to change.
Doesn't want to change. That's the big thing.
Most salespeople don't want to change. Most don't think they're that bad. The reason being is because most people are so bad. It's easier to keep on a crap salesman than to try and find a really good one.
Very true, but at the same time, if the numbers don't lie, and if your conversions aren't very good, or you're getting a lot of leads and they all seem to be crappy leads, that's not necessarily the case. You might start looking into the sales process of your sales team. So let's talk about your sales matrix. What is it? How does it change the way people approach selling?
Well, the sales matrix, just like in the film, when you're out in the real world selling, you don't realize it, but you're actually locked into a system that you're completely unaware of. Most salespeople don't know. So when I explain this concept to virtually every company owner or business owner or salesperson, they instantly see it and go, oh my God, you've just described our sales process. And the system is designed by prospects. It's designed to keep them in control. The system is all about control. So the first part of the matrix is the first thing any prospect will do is deceive you. And we deceive by outright lying, or we embellish, we understate, we exaggerate. We keep our cards close to our chest. We never tell the full truth. So someone says, are you the decision maker? You just say yes, even though you know you're going to discuss it with ABC. Someone says, this is something that you need. You give an evasive answer like, well, we're interested. It's something we've been considering. It's the sort of thing we could potentially look at doing. It's all very wishy-washy. They never, ever give a commitment. And when it comes to money, well, this would be, well, look, we can find money. Money's not going to be an issue. We always have money when we want to. They give it always wishy-washy. So the first thing I'm going to do, the prospect will do, is deceive you. The second thing, it's 4 steps. The second thing is, you're a salesman, I'm a prospect. You may have something I want. There's just one caveat. I don't want to pay for it if I don't have to. So my job now is to steal, is to plunder as much information from you about this that I can without having to commit. So this is why I invite you in. Can you do this? Can you do that? How long would it take? Who have you worked with? What would it cost? If you were us, what would you do? Could you fix this? How would you go about? And you as a salesperson have always been trained, answer these questions. Give them good answers. Demonstrate your intellectual prowess and ability. The prospects making notes are getting all the answers to their questions. As this bit of the meeting comes to its natural crescendo, what does a salesman try and do at this point? Everybody knows it because they all say it. Well, they try and close. Exactly. The prospect knows this is step 3. I know that you're going to close me at this point. So I've got my get out of jail already planned. And there are 3 ways I do that. Stalls, objections, or higher authority. Look, I really love what you guys do. Unfortunately, budgets won't be set until next quarter. So we'll have to revisit it then. So they give a stall. Can't commit now. Objections. Well, we met with ABC company and they're cheaper, faster. They do this. Why can't you? So they throw up barriers as to why they can't move forwards. Or they divert to higher authority. Look, guys, if it were up to me, we'd start today. But I got to run this by X, Y, and Z. And then finally, it's chase. They ask you to do a proposal or document your stupidity, as I would say. And then you chase them. And you chase and you chase and they hide. You get unlimited access to voicemail. And you're scratching your head saying, I don't get it. They asked all the right questions. They were so keen when we were in front of them. Why have they disappeared? And it's because they got what they wanted from you. They were using you. They lied about why you were there. They misled you with the information they gave you. They got from you what they wanted. You even wrote it down for them, and then they disappear. But you do that enough, someone eventually buys. And then that's why you get stupid phrases like, you got to be in it to win it, and it's a numbers game, and just get out there and hit the phones harder. All
right, Benjamin. I mean, theoretically sounds great, right? Now I understand that there's for sure only those 4 things. They're either going to stall, they're going to object, they're either going to go to higher authority, or you're going to have to chase them, right?
Yeah.
So what if you're good at lead generation? There's a lot of people that I'm connected with, that I work with, that get really good at things like Facebook ads or TikTok ads or YouTube ads, and they're generating leads on a regular basis, but they're just not closing enough. What are they missing usually in this case so that they can increase their closes and not get rid of some of those leads that they would otherwise generate revenue from?
Do you know the reason why most salespeople can't close is because they're always trying to close? That's their problem. They're trying to make a sale. They're not actually trying to figure out, is this someone I should and want to work with? It's just, oh, this person's expressed interest. They must want what I have. So I'm going to then try and convince them of why they should go through with that initial thought. And what they end up doing is they spend, if you're talking to someone for an hour, they spend about 50 minutes talking themselves out of the deal, because most salespeople can't close. And if they do close, they close in the wrong place. When you follow the matrix, it's step 3. Yeah, it's always at the third point. I know when the close is coming. That's why I said I'm ready. So one of the things they need to learn to start doing is closing at the beginning. Now, that's a skill, and that's what I teach. Closing at the beginning is where you agree what's going to happen at the end in advance. Because if you're going to fight over what happens next, I'd rather do it before I've given you anything rather than after I've given. Because whenever you try and close a prospect at the end of the conversation, they've always got the, look, I've really got to go. I've really enjoyed this, but so they close in the wrong place. And probably the other thing would be is you are attracting the wrong leads. A lot of people confuse somebody expressing an interest for a lead. Intellectual curiosity is not a buying signal. And too many salespeople confuse intellectual curiosity for a buying signal. People buy emotionally and justify intellectually. You've got to figure out why they're going to buy. Most people don't do that. They just try to intellectually convince you why you need what they have without getting you to really discover why you need it. So that's probably the main reasons without specifically talking to an individual.
We're living in an AI world where things are just drastically changing. In fact, there's so many things in the automation space that people are taking advantage of. I think it's also becoming, I don't know, taboo or maybe a goal that people are shooting for that I don't know if it's even achievable, which is to kind of get rid of the salesperson altogether through automation. Do you feel like it's something that we can build maybe towards, something that the world is going to in the sales process? Or do you feel like face-to-face interaction, sales demos, and just explaining to the client is going to have all the upper hand all the way through?
I think AI, like most things, will help, but I think too many people are going to rely on it as the crux. I think, though, and I'm going to make a prediction here, I do believe it will eliminate probably 99% of cold calling. Now, it's going to take a while to get there, but I have always said cold calling is a very simple algorithm. You've got to have a particular way of running a call. Once AI gets better and better at mimicking the human and sounding more and more human, once this algorithm's plugged in, there's no reason why you're going to need a human doing this. And when people are unable to distinguish, people will go along with it. The other thing is, once we get comfortable with AI, people say, but no one's going to let an AI bot talk them into a meeting. When we've got comfortable with AI, we will stop thinking of it like that. It will just become part and parcel. There's so much automation in our life now. People say, oh, you're never going to use your phone to do a bank transfer. No, you wouldn't feel safe. It would feel weird. Now you use it all the time without a second thought. So when people say AI won't get rid of, I believe it will. I've been saying before AI existed, I said, if I could build a robot that could do what I do, that has no emotional connection to the outcome, just follows the process, doesn't get upset, doesn't care about whether or not it gets a meeting or appointment, just consistently dials through, never takes 6 days, never has problems at home, this would be brilliant. That is what AI will do. I think it won't replace good salespeople. Face-to-face is going to be still important, but it's going to weed out. Most sales is full of a lot of people that shouldn't be there, frankly. Fair. And let's be honest, sales is full of people that couldn't get any other job. That's the only reason you're here. You needed a job, not this was my lifetime goal. So AI, just like COVID got rid of a lot of crappy salespeople because companies realized I have to lay these people off, but for some reason, roughly the same amount of money is still coming in. So what were they doing? Yeah. So
Take it up
no,
time.
you're only going to kill off useless salespeople.
Well, let me ask you about trying to sell your own product or service. You said earlier how people will spend the first 15 minutes talking themselves out of a sale. And I know that entrepreneurs are out there trying to do what they do, but some of them are just not naturally born salespeople. They might be able to do their business, the actual technical work of their business extremely well. They're just not very good at selling their product or service. What are some of the big mistakes that you see entrepreneurs make when they try to sell their own product or service themselves? And I guess kind of an extension to that is to team or not to team. Do I learn the skill myself, or do I acquire a team to sell my product or service?
Well, the problem is with entrepreneurs. Well, not a problem. The challenge they face is this: anyone who's an entrepreneur doesn't actually want to be a salesman.
Sure.
That's the problem. You've created something, you're passionate about something, whatever it is, and you've created something that you believe is going to make people. So this is like your firstborn kid. To you, this is the most precious, beautiful, amazing thing in the world. To everybody else, it's just another fucking baby, right? It just is another one. So the problem they have is they're so emotionally attached to this little thing that they go out. And if you're passionate, to start with, passion does draw people in. It's very good. But it hits a plateau. Because once you've gone through the sort of passion range of people, you're going to have to start selling to people that really genuinely don't care. They're not interested. So you're going to have to hook me. 90% of people in sales don't want to be there. So they've never learned. It takes 5 years to qualify as a lawyer. It takes 4 years to qualify as an accountant. It takes 7 years to qualify as a doctor. And then you're a junior. To be called a salesman, it takes 3 days product knowledge, a new suit, a CRM system, and you are one. So nobody learns the trade. So all they say is, I got a great idea. It's going to help people. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to yell from the rooftops and everyone's going to want to give me money. No, it will work for a bit. You're screaming up and someone's going to come up and talk to you, but you got no structure. So my advice, if you are an entrepreneur, I would spend, I don't care who it's with. It could be with me or Zig. I don't care who. Figure out a methodology for you to follow to sell. Because if you don't have a process or a structure, you're winging it. And if you're winging it, it's simply a lottery and down to luck. And luck has no place in trying to grow. There's an element of luck, but you need a strategy. So figure out how to sell. But the problem is I don't want to be a salesman. So why would I spend a lot of time and money trying to figure out how to get good at it? Well, therein lies the problem.
Yeah. And you know what? Every business that struggles with cash flow issues, they all have the same solution normally. The prescription is simple: make another sale. You make another sale, it tends to solve all your business problems with the next sale and the next sale. It's funny how it works. You know, why don't you want to spend all that money? Because it has a great return on investment. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Benjamin, if our listeners want to get started today, they want to start seeing better results, they want no fluff, they want just action, what advice do you got for them, and how can they get more information about you?
Well, the first thing you need to do is admit you're a salesman. This is why we create fancy job titles like business development executive and account manager. No one wants to admit they're in sales. It's like being an alcoholic. The first step to recovery is to admit you are one, right? So phone up your mum, phone up your dad, and say, look, mum and dad, I am a salesman. I'm not a business development manager. Yeah? So first thing, admit you're in sales. And then acknowledge that this is a skill set. It's not just volume and blagging. That you've got to be in it to win it mentality is made up by people that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, it's a numbers game. In fact, all of those are lottery jingles anyway. They come from the lottery. So accept that you're in sales. And then if you accept you're going to be in sales, figure out how to do it well. Don't just wing it. Don't just make it up. So that'd be my first one. Invest in yourself. I don't care if it's with me or anybody, but invest in yourself and figure out your trade. Yeah? So that would be my advice. Figure out how to get good at it, because it is a very lonely, miserable place being average in sales. Yeah? And most salespeople, they don't have 5, 10, or 15 years experience. If they're truly honest, they've had the same year 5, 10, or 15 years over, because they're almost identical to what they were when they first started. Maybe slightly more polished, but they still act, sound, and pretty much conduct themselves in the same way as a rookie does. And that means you've not progressed or learned a thing.
Yeah, you keep making the same mistake over and over again. You're taking orders when you're looking for that next referral. It's not building a business when you're waiting on the next referral. It's building a business when you have that lead generation source and you have either yourself or your team closing more deals in a consistent basis. That's when you can start looking to scale. That's when your business really starts to improve. That's when your life is going to really, really change. Benjamin, if people want to make that change, they want to learn a new process, how can they do that with you?
All right. Well, for your listeners, if anyone's listening to this, if they DM me on Instagram or say LinkedIn, you can find me on either of them. It's not hard to find me. LinkedIn or Instagram. If you DM me, I don't know, what shall we say? Shall we use the word
Business bros?
Bros. Just send bros. BROS. Text me the code bros and I'll send you a link. And I'm going to give this away. Normally I charge for this, but I'm going to give you access to some training for free. A short video series, I should say. 10 reasons why your prospecting fails and how to bulldoze your way through objections. They're 2 little mini courses, which I normally charge $197 for. But your listener, if they send me the code bros, I'll give them access to it for a month for free. And they can actually start. If you watch that the very next day or the very straight after, you'll be able to start putting stuff in place that I know works and all my clients knows works. So that's a deal I'm going to do for them. Or reach out to me on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel. Again, UK's most hated sales trainer. It's not hard to find me. If you Google that, you're not going to find someone else. Trust me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I get it. It is uncomfortable. It's like when I try to tell people they should create content and stand behind the camera and stand behind a microphone and start speaking. I get it. The first time you do it, it's very uncomfortable. You don't like the way you look. You don't like the way you sound. But if you continue to do it, you're going to get better and better. And the same thing happens with sales courses. Find the course that works for you. If you want to work with Benjamin here, cool. That's great. Like he said earlier, maybe it's Zig Ziglar, who knows, but find a course that works for you. And if you go to his Instagram, Benjamin Dennehy is his name. It's right here on the screen. Just DM him, bros. He's going to send you 2 courses to help you get started. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't matter what you decide to do, take action. I promise you will learn a bunch. You'll start to make some progress in the direction that you want to go in future. You will thank you for taking the action today. At Benjamin Dennehy, he's got his course scrolling across the bottom, salesmatrixcourse.com. Benjamin, thank you very much for being on the program. Any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah. Procrastination kills everything. Most salespeople are ditherers, procrastinators. Only a decision maker can get others to make decisions. So if you've watched this and thought, yeah, I might consider doing it, then bloody act on it. Don't say I'll send bros in next week or tomorrow. Do it right now. And because if you can't make decisions quickly in your own life, you are never, ever, ever going to get someone else to make a decision. And that is something you must get good at. Make it, even if you fuck up. Even if it's the wrong decision, do you know what that's called? Experience, wisdom. That's what you get from making decisions quickly. Ditherers, procrastinators are average. They're mediocre. It's easy to think things over. It's hard to take a decision and act. So do that.
I'll tell you what, you take action, you never know. You could get lucky, and getting lucky is amazing. You never know. You might hit the right product, hit the right offer, and boom, you're off and rolling sooner rather than later. But the experience comes. So, Benjamin, thank you very much for coming on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, get your sales game on. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started today.